This is my alcohol story of how I went from getting wasted every weekend in my 20s to slowly reducing my alcohol consumption to completely quit alcohol in 2024. And this is a very important question because I believe that we never question our consumption of alcohol, or only a few people do that. Welcome back to the Adventure Reignition Podcast. Today it's a new episode about my story with alcohol, and for the people who are listening to the episode and watching on YouTube, I am a bit outside in nature today in a special setup. I woke up a bit earlier to climb and be here with the sunrise, so it's gonna be a very nice setup for me, and I'm really excited to dive into this topic that I think is really important. But before we dive into this episode, let me tell you that this is not about drink shaming. This is not about that. If you drink alcohol and you like it, your cup of wine or your beer or whatever you like to drink, this is not about shaming you to drink. This is not the purpose of this episode. The purpose for me is to tell you my story, my relationship, so that maybe you can start questioning some societal norms or some habits that build up over time that you never question again. That's my purpose for this episode today. So let's dive in straight away by telling you my story. It's funny because when we think about alcohol, I'm pretty sure we all have the same reaction the first time we took a sip of alcohol. It was pretty disgusting. At least it was for me. And I remember my parents used to drink a lot of wine, and once they just let me try. I was around 13, 14, and honestly it was disgusting. I remember as a teenager at the time saying to myself, who's drinking that? Why would you drink that if it's not sweet? And fast forward, I turned 16. That's pretty much when you can start drinking legally in Switzerland. But I started a bit before. I think one of the first time I started to really drink alcohol was around 14, 15. I don't remember exactly. But I also remember this first time I drank beer. It wasn't sweet at all. Actually, to make it sweeter, I would put a little bit of um, liquor, strawberry liquor into it to make it sweeter. So it shows, at least it shows to me, that the first couple of experiences tasting alcohol wasn't as good as you normally think. But it gets normalized over time for many reasons. I think if you are a millennial like me, I'm 35. Maybe that's not the case, just an assumption. But I've seen my parents drink wine a lot. And as I was playing football or soccer for you guys in the US, I could see them drink a lot after the games on the Saturday nights, after we, the kids, play the game by the soccer field. And I think he didn't set the right example, to be honest, because I've seen my parents getting wasted a lot and it looked fun. So I think that's why we kind of like push through the discomfort of that it doesn't taste good when we first try it, and we keep going and we drink because we saw our parents and we think it's fun. And this is something alcohol is pretty socially accepted, even if it's a drug, even if people have addiction with it, it's something socially accepted. So for me, when I started to drink around 16 quite a lot, it was a way to have fun, party, and go out with friends. And my only goal was to get wasted every weekend because it brings you in a second state, as you can imagine, if you have been drinking. It brings you in the second state that it's not really you. And you have the false impression that it frees you from your fears. But actually, I believe it's only a way to numb yourself. And at least it was the case for me because I was pretty introverted kid and shy kid. So for me, it was a way to kind of like escape my shyness and have fun And to be honest, it was really toxic because it was becoming also a game of who could handle the most alcohol. So that was my experience with alcohol, at least until my 20s and even after that. And after that, it was more like social, but going out partying alcohol. So every time I would go in nightclubs, it was a reason for drinking. And I didn't see a problem at the time. I would even go out in night, whether it was in nightclubs or bars, and I would say things like, "This is boring if I'm not drinking." And I really experienced that and felt that and said that many times during my 20s. But doing that in retrospect now is just a way to numb yourself, numb your feelings, numb who you are, just to be in a secondary state that make you think that's the real you. And honestly, it was fun and I don't regret it. So that's the first thing I want to say, and very important thing. I don't regret all those years drinking, having fun. I wouldn't have become the person I am today, and I wouldn't be doing that today in nature and talking about that subject if I didn't experience it myself. And I don't regret it because between the age of 20 and 25, I was studying, working at the same time, and also doing a lot of football at the same time. But for me, drinking was fun, and I don't regret it. I had a lot of good times, but I don't think, in retrospect, it's a good reason enough to get into drinking. But then, at the end of my studies, at the age of 26, I decided to travel the world for a year. And this is probably the year I've drunk the most in my entire life for many reasons. Because I was still on that alcohol journey. For me, it wasn't a problem. And when you travel like that, you're going places to places every 3, 5 days. And this is another reason to have fun, to party, to meet other people. So probably in 2016, that's the year I drank the most. And when I came back, I felt this need to slow down with this. And I think as I was getting older, so 27 to 30, was still like drinking time to times and also getting wasted a couple of times, but way, way, way less than during my teenage years and during my 20s, and even less, far, far less than during my travel. But I could feel that the hangover the next day were becoming harder and harder. It would take me more and more time to recover from that. And if you have been hangover once, you know how terrible you feel. And you're just basically waiting for it to pass. And as I was getting older, the time were getting longer to me to feel better. And it was getting in the way of my desire also to be more in nature, go for hikes, enjoy nature, being with friends outside, getting into adventures, doing endurance sports. So I started to feel it was off and that I couldn't like get wasted for no reasons. So I decided to decrease a bit more my consumption to I found my sweet spot around 2 beers, 3 beers, where it was good for socializing, good to feel good and not like getting wasted and not feel too bad the next day. And I think it was at the end of 2023, I was really questioning that because I could feel that my sleep was affected even with 1 or 2 beers, and that I wasn't hangover the next day, but I didn't feel at my best. It was also decreasing my recovery after long bike rides or runs or hikes in nature or any adventures. So I started to really question that a lot. Yeah, I think have seen or heard a podcast with Andrew Huberman who talks about the negative effects with alcohol, even with small consumption as 1 or 2 drink a week on the brain. So that's when I really questioned that, and I really wanted to start at least quitting for a bit. And as I as I wanted to train for a marathon in 2024, in the Geneva Marathon in May 2024, it was the perfect reason for me to quit alcohol while focusing on my training for that marathon. And I'm not the type of person who is this is black and white. So I was like, my approach to quit was okay, I will quit alcohol for the duration of the training, which will be 4 months. And then I will reevaluate the situation. I will reevaluate if I really want to quit alcohol or if I don't. And I focused on the training, and I could feel really good during the training. And to be honest, the first 2 months was a bit hard because when I was in social environments, the call to drink was really strong. Nobody was forcing me to drink. Even if I heard like some people telling me, "Oh, you're not fun anymore," or just drink once, it won't affect your training." I heard those sayings, those words from people, but it wasn't too strong for me. And I know from experience and talking to some of the people around me that it can be really hard if you have a family that has a very strong bond with alcohol and for them it's normal. So when you will tell them to quit, it might be really difficult because they will say, "Come on, you have changed," or "Just drink tonight," or "Oh, I bought you a nice bottle of wine. You will at least taste it, right?" I know the pressure is really strong, whether it's in social environments with maybe friends, maybe colleagues, or with your own family. And it requires a lot of courage to stop and get really strong into your words. And for me, since I traveled, I won't say it's been easier, but I try to be really strong on the thing I decide and push through. It doesn't work all the time, but I had to stick to it. Even if I could hear the just one drink, or you're not fun anymore, or those reflection, or I bought you a bottle of wine. Keep the bottle of wine when you have friends at home and serve them the bottle. But it requires a lot of courage and mental strength to do it. It's not easy, especially in that time. So for the first 2 months, I think it was a bit tricky. But after the third month, I was like getting momentum and I felt really good. My training were going very well and I could feel more energy, better sleep, and overall I was really good. So when the time come and I finished that marathon, I didn't know what to do. But as I had momentum and I started to build that identity of somebody who wasn't drinking anymore, it started to become something part of my identity. And 2 months after the marathon, I had a bachelor party with some of my best friends, and I signed up for a drinking game way before I decided to stop alcohol, and I decided to give it a try. For me, that would be the ultimate test to see whether I would like or not to come back to drinking casually alcohol. And I took a couple of beers because it was part of the game, and I didn't like it at all. I the taste of alcohol wasn't sweet anymore, and I could feel very quickly that because I wasn't used to drinking anymore, that I would be slightly drunk very quickly, and I didn't like the feeling, and I didn't like the way I was feeling the next day, not hangover but slightly headache. So for me, it was a clear sign that alcohol was done for me, at least for now. And the last time I drank alcohol was at the wedding of my friend when I just drank a glass of champagne to celebrate their wedding. But that's been it since January 2024. I drank twice, so once at the bachelor party and the second time at his wedding. And since September, I haven't drink a lot. I haven't drunk a lot, anything at all. That's what I meant. And I won't stop anytime soon. I think it has really become part of my identity, part of who I am. And I've found alternatives that are pretty good. Um, Alcohol-free beers, honestly, they're really good. I wouldn't have said that 15 years ago, but now I really like it, and I think there is a market as well. So this is a really good alternative if you like beer. I do like beer, and alcohol-free beer is perfect for me now. So that's basically how I stopped alcohol. Was not like I was drinking a lot to stop straight away. It was a gradual decrease in consumption to really question the the norm of drinking and the impact on my health and brain. To say that was the ultimate push to tell me, give it a shot, give it a try, at least. And I feel really good, really energized, really awake. My sleep is better. And I'm not saying I will quit alcohol forever. Now I am on that journey where it's totally fine for me. I'm used to it. My friends are used to it as well. My family is used to it as well. And I feel really good. But if in the future I want to drink maybe a glass of wine or even an alcohol beer, I won't say I will not drink forever. For the moment, I won't. And I don't plan to drink anytime soon. But the goal is to it's not to tell you what you should or shouldn't do with alcohol. And I want to finish this podcast episode on this. Once again, this is not about drink shaming. It's about questioning the norm. It's about making your own conscious, intentional choices about societal norms, and in this example, alcohol. And for me, I'm good now. And you have to make your own choice. Maybe for you, it's just reducing a little bit. Maybe for you, it's testing for a month. Or maybe keep living the way you are doing it because you just like the taste of alcohol, because you have a passion maybe for wine tasting or beers, and that's totally fine. And that's where I want to end this episode, to say once again, do what feels right for you. And this has been only my story about how I went for getting wasted in my 20s every weekend to quit alcohol at 35 in 2024. And now in 2025, I keep going the journey because it has become part of my identity. The momentum has built up, the habit has built up, and I found good alternatives as alcohol free beers to drink in social environments and also enjoy the taste of beer without alcohol. That's it for today's. Thank you for your attention and see you guys very soon. Bye.